after a new strike by Ukrainian drones on the oil refinery and the local port. The local authorities of the city of Tuapse in the Russian Federation have finally declared the beginning of an environmental disaster and the evacuation of part of the population. But at the same time, Vladimir Putin officially and publicly declared that there is nothing for Russians in Tuapse to be afraid of, there is no disaster, and there is no need to evacuate anyone anywhere, saying there's no reason to stir up all this panic. At the same time, in reality, after the nighttime attack by Ukrainian drones on the oil refinery in Tuapse on April 28, burning petroleum products were released from damaged tanks directly onto the roadway. Basically, burning oil flowed through the streets, and the city never saw the sun because of the thick black smoke. And as for the footage of people shoveling oil off the beaches, I think you've all already seen it online. In the end, here are the images from space. They show that after the third strike, it seems Russia has permanently lost both a huge port, an oil refinery, and massive oil storage tanks. And all Vladimir Putin can do is cry and claim that Ukraine dared to respond to Russian terrorists using their own methods. My name is Alexei Pechi. Let's discuss this topic together. But before we start, I ask you to subscribe to this channel, like this episode, and leave any comment you like. Also, subscribe to my Telegram channel Pechi News. The link to it is in the description of this video. So, before the Russians had even put out the previous fire in Tuapse, Krasnodar Krai, Russia, Ukrainian drones struck oil storage facilities again. As a result, Vladimir Putin finally had to respond to the cries and sobs of the Russians. Vladimir Putin today, April 28, stated that in Tuapse, where an oil refinery has been burning since last week, there was a massive oil spill in the sea and oil rain fell over the city. There are no serious threats there, and anyone who says otherwise is making things up. Next is a quote from Vladimir Putin. "There are no serious threats. People on the ground are dealing with the challenges they face, that's all." So, if you see all those videos on social media with black rain, fires, smoke and everything else, just know that it's all lies. Vladimir Putin said that there are no threats, everything is fine. And then Vladimir Putin added that strikes on energy facilities in Tuapse could cause serious environmental consequences. And according to him, Ukraine is allegedly carrying out these strikes because of the loss of territory at the front. Next, I will quote a very important statement by Vladimir Putin.
The Kyiv regime and its patrons have turned to outright terrorist tactics. The reasons are obvious. Everyone understands them. The enemy is unable to stop the advance of our troops, our guys, on the line of contact. Every day they lose certain territories. Every single day. That's why they resort to terror. Both against the military and against civilians.
Well, you know, I'm not going to comment on the nonsense of that bald idiot. I'll just note that perhaps the wild Russians in the city of Tuapse are reassured by the fact that Vladimir Putin explained to them the reasons why drones keep coming at them. It's important for the people of Tuapse to know that since they're not advancing at the front, they've caused us an environmental disaster. That's supposedly exactly what the Ukrainians want. But the reality is a bit different. You know, there has never been such an abundance of footage of a disaster in Russia before. They filmed from all angles, posted everything, and now it's all online. In the videos online after the night attack, we see 4 sources of fire. There's no point in commenting on the rest, you just have to watch. So, this is the 3rd successful strike on the tank farm in the last 2 weeks. Well, maybe even more significant than the previous 2. And in total, this is already the 7th. It's the 3rd successful strike on the Tuapse oil refinery since the start of the full-scale war. Well, if we look at the map, we'll see that just a couple more strikes and there will be nothing left of Tuapse's oil refining sector. And now let's just watch this beauty without any commentary. Subtitles by...
Ой, это пиздец. Лопнула бочка. Жарко около окна стоять. Всё.
Subtitles by Dima Torzo.
это не ИИ, ИБ и еще что. Это реальная дымовуха в Туапсе. Я нахожусь в 25 километрах от Туапсе. И вот что я наблюдаю. Вот такое там обильное горение завода.
Subtitles by Dima Torzok's Smoke Bomb in Tuapse.
Что там сейчас, как там люди живут, что там смотрим, фильмами. Это просто жесть. Охренеть.
So, what do we have in the end? The first strikes on the Tuapse oil refinery were carried out on April 16th and 20th. After the attack on April 20th, the fire at the plant was only extinguished 4 days later. The damage to the tanks led to an oil spill which entered the Black Sea, and within a week the oil slicks stretched along the coast for 77 kilometers. Rospotrebnadzor recorded a twofold exceedance of the maximum allowable concentrations of gasoline, benzene, xylene, and soot in the air. It rained oil over the city, and the smoke from the fire spread almost across the entire Black Sea coast. The smoke reached Sochi, Anapa, Stavropol, and Armavir. On the night of April 28th, drones attacked the plant for the third time in 2 weeks. As a result of the new fire, burning oil products were released from the damaged tanks directly onto the roadway. As a result, it finally happened in Tuapse. Residents were urged to begin evacuating, at least from those areas where burning oil was already flowing through the streets. The mayor of Tuapse, Sergei Boyko, stated, quote, "Dear residents of Koshkina Street, Pushkina Street, and the adjacent lanes, due to the threat of fire spreading, the administration of the Tuapse Municipal District asks you to evacuate." The governor of Krasnodar Krai, Veniamin Kondratyev, who, by the way, told Putin today that everything is just great here, also urged the residents of Tuapse to evacuate for their safety. What's going on? Has something become dangerous? No way. And as always happens in Russia, the residents themselves have to handle the evacuation. They say, well, pack your things yourselves and figure something out on your own. Why? Because where do Russian taxes go? To the war? Not to the safety and well-being of those Russians. Putin doesn't care at all about these feral Russians. Well, let them go and die in Ukraine. That's their fate. As for Vladimir Putin's explanations to Russians that this is how Kiev acts because of losses at the front, here is the bare facts for you. The strikes by Ukrainian drones on Tuapse are important because they target fuel supplies for the Russian army. By disrupting maritime logistics and oil exports, they reduce foreign currency revenues for the Russian budget and force air defense systems to be redeployed from the front. Since 2022, the armed forces of Ukraine have increased the range of their strikes against Russia by 170%. So now Ukraine can reach even those places where, according to Russians, the war was never supposed to come. But it has come, or it will come soon. And now in Tuapse, every resident feels the consequences of the war that each of them started against Ukraine. Well, I'll end with a very famous quote. The biggest mistake is to underestimate Ukrainians, to consider Ukrainians weak. These words belong to the first president of Ichkeria, Dzhokhar Dudayev, and he warned the Russians more than 30 years ago. You shouldn't have gone into Ukraine. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. If you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, you can do so with any donation using the links and details provided in the description of this video or by using the QR code on your screens. That's all for now. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye, everyone. Subtitles.